What's going on, guys? My name is Lieben, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of maintenance work on my Z, a little bit of a tune-up. As you guys can tell, I have the ignition coils and some spark plugs here. It's been running a little bit rough lately, and I was told to go ahead and change both of those. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do today. And with like any Z, the first thing to do when working on here is basically start by taking the strut bar off. And as you guys can see, there's like hardly any room here, so I'm actually gonna have to go ahead and take off the air intake and see if I can make some more room on this side so I can go ahead and take him out. To remove the strut bar, there's actually only 3 bolts and then like a hex nut on each side. So I mean, it's not that hard to take off. But now the next thing is going to be to remove this cover, which also is just 4 screws right here on top as well. Alright, and then now with the cover off, you can at least see some of the front ignition coils a little bit better. So, I mean, that frees up a little bit of space. I am going to go ahead and start with this side. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the air intake so I can take these off and then swap them out with the new ones. And since I have already made a video on how to replace the air intake, I'm not going to show you that part just because I don't want to bore you guys with like the same video twice. Alright, and all of these ignition coils are actually just held on by one bolt right here. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this and then just go ahead and unscrew it, and it should actually pop right off. Alright, and then here you have the old one right there along with the new one right here. So next I'm just going to have to go ahead and take out the spark plug. Alright, and then here you have the old spark plug. It doesn't look that bad. You can tell it's been burning some oil, but I mean that's pretty common with 350Z, so I'm still gonna go ahead and change him just because I mean I have him right there, so might as well go ahead and do everything all at once. Alright, so here are the new ones. They are Bosch brand. Bosch, I don't know how you pronounce that. Anyways, they say that they come pre-gapped, so we don't have to worry about that. I'm gonna go ahead and take their word from it, and gonna go ahead and just put the new one in. Now I'm pretty sure these have to be torqued at a specific spec. I don't have one of those torque wrenches or ratchets, whatever you call them, so I'm just gonna go ahead and wing it. I don't recommend doing that just because, I mean, just because you guys should probably do it the correct way. And another thing, the socket that I have is from Harbor Freight, so it's not the best quality, and I don't know if you can see the inside that holds onto the spark plug. If I tighten it with this, it will stay stuck in there. So what I use instead is this little kind of like, it's a claw that comes out, so I go ahead and put it initially screw it in with this and then take out the little seal on here, so then when I pull it out, the rubber piece doesn't stay stuck inside the with the spark plug. Alright, so what I went ahead and did is I just went ahead and tightened it down until it felt snug on there, because the last thing I want to do is break the spark plug inside the engine. Alright, and now to put on the new ignition coil. First, I'm going to make sure that it actually connects here. Yep, and it looks like it locked, so that's good. And then just to remind you guys, I am not by any means a professional, so don't take anything that I do or show you guys as like the right way of doing it. I would do your research before attempting any of this. Obviously, if I mess up my car, it's mine, but I just don't want to give any of you guys the wrong information either, so take what I say with a grain of salt. Alright, so now that that one's put in there, moving on to the next two. Yeah, there's a lot less space in those, so I'm gonna, this one still seems like it might come out pretty easy. That's the one over here. This is the one that's gonna probably be most challenging. But I'm not gonna bore you guys with the whole process, so I'll just go ahead and show you once it's off and the spark plug is off as well. Alright, and here is the second ignition coil along with the spark plug that I have taken off. They're pretty much in the same condition as the other ones. This is what I was talking about, the socket, the rubber seal coming off with the spark plug. But yeah, as you guys can see, they're pretty much identical to the first two that I took off. One other thing, I did have to go ahead and disconnect this connector that went into the first ignition coil, just so I would have more room to kind of push it aside and to take the ignition coil off. But I mean, that's not a big deal at all. So now go ahead and put the new ones back on. Alright, and then just like that, the second coil and spark plug are put in. So now moving on to the far back one. As you guys can tell, I went ahead and disconnected this green connector right here, just so I would have more room to be able to pull out the spark plug. And actually what I'm noticing about this last ignition coil is that this metal bracket is actually going kind of right past where the bolt that's holding it on goes through, so I might have to actually take this bracket to be able to take the spark plug out and the ignition coil. Alright, as you guys can see, only the top part of this ignition coil came off, so I'm gonna use the claw again to see if I can take off the remaining piece. Alright, well that didn't go as planned. There's that piece there. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this one right here actually has a lot of oil. I don't know if that's normal or if that means my engine's about to give out, but regardless, I'll probably do some more research on that later on. Right now I'm still just focused on trying to get the rest of the ignition coil out. Alright, so here is the other piece of the ignition coil, and as you guys can see, it is covered in oil. I was reading on some forum and it's saying that it happens because the valve cover gasket is ripped and it's letting oil into it, which is kind of weird because this car, I mean, I hardly have to put oil in it. I mean, besides it burning, it doesn't really have an oil consumption problem. But that is something else I am going to have to change from what it looks like now. But regardless, I'm going to go ahead and put the other, well, first I have to take off the spark plug, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the new ones in. So here is the spark plug from that cylinder, and as you guys can tell, it is completely drenched in oil. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to change that valve cover pretty soon. I already started this process, so I might as well go ahead and finish it and change all of the spark plugs. Hopefully this is a temporary fix. Meanwhile, I can get the valve cover, and hopefully I don't have to change the spark plugs later on in the near future. But if I do, I mean, might as well. But yeah, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put the new spark plug and the new coil back in. Alright, so now that everything has been put back together on this side, now it's time to go ahead and put the fuel filter back on. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the other side. Alright, so now that I went ahead and put the air intake back on, I went ahead and started with this front ignition coil. I did have to use the pliers, these ones right here, because I was not able to get my fingers in there and actually like squeeze the clip to pull it out. That was mainly the only thing, but besides that, I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the bolt. Alright, so I've gone ahead and changed the first one on this side already. As you can see, the spark plug is actually dry. You can tell that it's been burning oil, but it's not really anything out of the ordinary. At least it's not like the one over there that was just like drenched in oil, so that's a good sign. But yeah, one other thing that I want to say is that I also disconnected this from up here. That was from here, just so that I would have more room. And then I could like bend this more so I could take the ignition coil off. But now I have started on the second one on this side. Alright guys, so as you can see, this right here is the middle one that I changed in there, and that one right here is the far back one. I didn't show anything because it was pretty much the same process over there. I just used this right here to take out the spark plugs, and then just use the normal socket here to also take the spark plugs off. It was pretty simple and self-explanatory. And if you can tell here on the condition of the spark plugs, the one that was in the middle, I mean, that was pretty dry and it's not wet, and you can tell on the last one there were some signs of oil wanting to start getting in, so I'm definitely gonna have to go ahead and change both valve covers on both sides. Now that they are all done, I am also gonna go ahead and clean the I believe it is called the VVT solenoid, this right here. I was told that also cleaning it might help the car run better too, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. So the good thing about these VVT solenoids is that they both look pretty easy to take off. You have one bolt there, another one there, and then one there, and it is actually the exact same on this side here. You have one there, another one there, and another one is kind of covered by the hose right there, by the cable. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and take both of them off at the same time, just because that'll be easier. Take them off both at the same time, clean them at the same time, and then go ahead and put everything back together. And they all look like they're the same size here on the passenger side, so there's no need to worry about where you're gonna put them back. Alright, so after I went and disconnected them, all the 3 bolts on the driver's side are the exact same size too, so you don't have to worry about that. There is a clip right here which you have to go ahead and disconnect, and then you have to be careful about the gasket right there, that it doesn't fall down. As you can see, it looks really dirty right there, so I am also going to go ahead and clean that surface too, as well as both of those right there. Alright, and I'm also going to be removing this inner, so this is the, I believe, the solenoid that has to come out too, because I want to make sure I clean the inside of it good too. And I'm going to be using just some good old-fashioned gunk engine degreaser. Hopefully that doesn't mess it up, but I guess we'll go ahead and find out. If for whatever reason it does, I'll just go ahead and buy a new one of these for both sides. And I didn't want to get them confused with the other one, so this one right here is actually the driver's side, and I left the passenger side still there on the car. Alright, and as you can see, that is probably why you want to go ahead and clean these. There's a bunch of gunk right there just stuck on the filters. So let's get to it. Alright, so the degreaser bottle did not work, so I'm just going to go ahead and use throttle body and air intake cleaner and pray that it doesn't mess it up. And as you guys can tell, the solenoid is already looking 100 times better than it did before, so hopefully it is cleaning it and not damaging it. So this piece is done. I was trying to be careful and not get the actual sensor, so there's that one there. And I'm going to continue working on this one a little bit more. Alright, now that the second part is sealed, I'm going to go ahead and put it all back together. Alright, and there it is, put back together. So now it's the same process with the other one. Alright, and here is the second solenoid all cleaned up. So now we just got to clean the entrance of the engine. Alright, so I've gone ahead and cleaned both sides of them already. I was scared of getting some of that inside the engine because I didn't know if it was going to damage it. So I just damped like a cloth with that and then rubbed it on there to clean it up, just to minimize how much was going to actually go in there. And I also cleaned the gaskets, but they actually kind of seem like they're starting to chip off. That could also be a problem, so I might have to change these regardless. But for the meantime, they should hold up. So now I'm going to go ahead and start putting them back together. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on now. Hopefully everything works out, no oil leaks, and it sounds better than before.